Hi everyone and welcome to neurogymenligne. I'm really happy to be with you with a new video, and in this video I want to share with you some tips and some exercises also that you can do to manage spasticity in your legs. If you had a stroke, if you have multiple sclerosis, or maybe if you had a spinal cord injury. So spasticity is something that is very common in neurological disorders. It's also something that is very bothering and that people have trouble to live with and to manage. It can impair balance, it can generate pain, it can impair in some cases function. But you have to know also that in some cases it can improve function. So spasticity management, it's really case by case, and it's most of the time very difficult, and you need to have multiple treatment aspects to be able to manage it well. So one part of this is doing exercises like stretches, motor control exercises, weight bearing exercises. So I will show you and explain to you a few tips and that you can use to do exercises and manage spasticity in your everyday life. So the exercises will be, I prepared everything to be done sitting. So if you're in a wheelchair, you can do it in your own wheelchair. There's no problem, no equipment, just you and your legs to do the exercises to manage your spasticity. So prepare yourself, sit well on a chair. But before, I invite you to do a thumbs up or a like if you like that kind of video, and also I invite you to follow us on our platform, so YouTube, Facebook and Instagram, and also you can share this video and our channel to people that might benefit from videos we are doing. So thank you very much for doing this. We come back in a few seconds. Okay, great. I hope you're well sitting with your brakes on if you're in your wheelchair. So before to start to do exercises and show you some tips, I want to talk a little bit about spasticity, because I'm pretty sure you know it's difficult to manage. As I said, you will need more than one treatment strategy. So you can have medication, you can have injection of Botox, for example, doing exercises, you can have splint that you put during the day or at night. There's different kind of things. So, and for this, you will need different professional to follow you and help you with that. And most of the time the decision is made in a multidisciplinary team to be sure to really look all the aspects of spasticity in your life and your function, because like I said in the introduction, sometimes spasticity can help. Actually, it can be good to have a little bit of spasticity, even if it's really bothering. So spasticity, it's increased tone, and you can see it in the different ways. Sometimes there are spasms, like the legs is shaking like that. So if that happens, it's bothering you, remember that weight bearing is very good. So you can put your foot flat on the floor and press on your knee, press on your leg to reduce, to calm the spasms. And sometimes it will be like a feeling of a very heavy or tight leg, and the leg will be stiff like that, will be an extension. It's the same for the upper body, but I will do a specific video for this. So it can be a bit different, and you can have more than one kind of spasticity at the same time. But it can be helpful. Actually, it's contraction also. So people who have spasticity and they are completely paralyzed, for example, they will keep a good muscle mass, and this can help to prevent pressure sore. So it's good to keep that a little bit. And also they can use this, start the spasticity and stand up and do transfer in the car, for example. So it's very important, before trying to avoid and reduce completely the spasticity, to talk to your team, talk to your doctor, and be sure to take the good decision for your situation. But exercises in everyday can help to manage. When you have a good plan in place, Sometimes you will have increased spasticity. There's many things that increase spasticity: stress, pain, hormonal disorder, if you have an injury below the level of lesion or in the area where it's spastic, bowel and bladder when they are full, tight, closed, things like that. So if you have something that increases the spasticity that you can remove, this is the first thing to do. You remove the trigger. So if it's the bladder, you go to the toilet. If it's the clothes, you release the clothes, the tightness in the clothes, things like that. Sometimes it will be internal. It can be stress, as I said, a lack of sleep, tiredness, things like that. So, and sometimes you don't have any, there's no causes that you will be able to identify it. So in those cases, you can do exercises and things to reduce the spasticity. You can do that during the day or in the morning to be able to walk more fluently, for example. So the first thing is to do weight bearing. So to put weight on the limb that is spastic. I will do for both legs, but like if you have had a stroke, remember to put more weight on the affected side, the side where the spasticity is. So what we will do, it's sitting like that. You will put both feet on the floor, put your hands on your knees if possible, and lean like that to put some weight. Okay, if you have one leg that is spastic, you can lean on that leg and you stay like that. If you can stand up and put some more weight on the leg that is affected. I will do it sitting, but imagine you have a lot of spasticity, you had spasms, you want to stand up and walk, and your leg is very tight. You put your legs like that. And you do weight bearing like this, okay? We will do this 30 seconds. Lean and put some weight on your legs. Take big breath. You can go from side to side like this. If you have both legs, put a bit more weight on one side, a bit more weight on the other side. It's very good for proprioception also. If you have contraction and movement in your legs, it will help to kind of say to your brain, hey, those are my legs, they are there. They still exist, because when we have spasticity, it's also a lack of control and connection between the brain and the limbs. So if there's a lack of connection, there's also a lack of connection for sensory function. So the brain will have less sensory information about the legs. So it kind of forget that they are there. It's why there's spasticity. It cannot inhibit some of the reaction that will cause the spasticity. So doing this and with your hands on your knees and on your muscle, for example, it's good to reduce that spasticity. What you can do, we will do it again. I will share with you another tip. So what you can do, it's also squeeze the muscles like that. So we do weight bearing, we lean. You can put your hands on the muscle belly, and you can also squeeze with your hands to reduce the spasticity. And if you have spasticity right now, or if you try it, you will feel at one point the muscle will go, it will release. It can be very impressive. It always depends on the severity and the importance of the spasticity. When a muscle is very spastic, this kind of tips will not work, or really not often. So you will need other kind of things to help to reduce spasticity, but in mild cases it works very well. Some people have also spasticity in the hamstring, so you can take the hamstring and just squeeze it and wait for it to reduce. It's the same, you know, when we have a cramp in the calf, it's the same. We kind of put the foot on the floor, put some weight, kind of stretch the muscles also, or just keep it like that. So it's same thing for all muscles. Okay, we do it again. So remember, if you can stand up, try to stand. We will do again like shifting the weights, put a bit more weight on one side. If you have spasticity on both sides, if you have spasticity on one side, so keep weight bearing on that side. And we don't want to move like this because we want to have weight bearing for a longer time. Okay, very good. One other thing that is very helpful for the spasticity is stretching the muscles that are spastic. Two things, because it's important for two things. One is spasticity. It's a stretching reflex. It's trigger not when a muscle is stretched. It's not always the case when it's internal. It's very complicated, but like to test spasticity, we will stretch, we will do a rapid movement and see the reaction of the muscles. So we say that spasticity is a reflex of a stretch. So if we want to reduce that reflex, we have to keep a good flexibility in the muscle. So when we will try to stretch it fast, it will be loose more and it will react less. So this is kind of the rule, if I can say it like that. And so this can be very helpful to reduce the reaction and the spasms and the spasticity. The other thing is when you are spastic, you have a lot of spasticity I will show it with my arm, but we were talking about the legs. If, for example, my bicep is very spastic, it will contract often and sometimes stay in that position for a long time. The muscle, the bicep, will not shrink but will reduce in length and might be not able to be extended completely. So the range of motion can be reduced with time. So to keep flexibility in the muscles is very important too. So stretches in spasticity, when you have spasticity, is very important. It has to be done as often as you can. Another thing to know, I will talk a lot, I'm sorry for that. I think that is very important for you to understand, because with this knowledge and the little tips, you can change few things that you are doing at home in your everyday life to kind of to help to manage spasticity. So spasticity, in our brain, we have more control what is proximal, so closer to our trunk, so the hip, shoulder, and when we go further away from the trunk, the control is more difficult, and we have actually with paralysis, with spasticity, we have less control because it's more complex. So at the hip, we usually have less spasticity because we have more control of it, and when we go down the leg, the spasticity will increase. So at the ankle, it's usually where we find the most spasticity, the most spasms, and the muscles that are the tighter and the less control also. A lot of people with spasticity will have a drop foot and it can impair function a lot. And for the leg, the spasticity is most of the time, but in some cases it's the opposite. It's an extension like that. So the calf will be very spastic, very tight, and we will be in plantar flexion like that. So what we want to do is to do a flexion like this, okay? So we want to do dorsal flexion to stretch the muscle here. So we will do it, I said that we will do everything in the chair. Just so you know, to stretch the calf the best is to be extended like that and to pull the toes and the front of the foot towards you. But for that, you need equipment. I really wanted to show you tips and exercises that you can do everywhere, because sometimes you will have a lot of spasticity when you're in the car or after, or like public transportation, because it's bouncy a lot and it will trigger a lot of spasticity, and after that there will be a lot of spasm, so you won't have equipment with you, and you can do few things to reduce the spasticity and not worry about it after and go do your things. So what you can do is you put your foot behind, so your heel actually behind your knee, and you put some weight to stretch like this to have you see the angle here, it's reduced, so you are in dorsal flexion in that position, and you stay like that. Okay, we'll do that 3 times. We will do one side, but if you need, you can do both sides. So you put your feet back and you try to put your heel down by pushing on your knee like this. You can, if you have contraction in your legs, you can try to push by yourself, and you will feel, I feel it like in my calf here. Okay, so you put like that and you press. Let's go. So actually it's doing also weight bearing, so it's a 2 for 1. This is very good. And also something I want to say, because I see that so often, I see people moving like that. So for a stretch, it has to be hold. You cannot, if you move like that, it's movement. It's not a stretching, a stretch. It's not long enough to give the info for the muscles to stretch. Okay, so our body will adapt to what we ask them, to what we ask. If you put the muscles in a stretching position, if you stretch it, at one point it will, like the actin and the myosin will be stretched, and it will take seconds to kind of, oh, I feel the stretching, there's a strain, like something someone asked me to release, so it will release, but with time, not very fast. So you have to hold on, and actually we are doing 30 seconds, but you can stay in that position for way longer. You can do it 2 minutes if you want, and you have time. Let's go, we do another 30 seconds. So heel back, you try to put back, you put your heel on the floor to do a plantar flexion. If you have a lot of spasticity, or if it's too much, if you're pushing too much, you might experience that you will go in spasms. In that case, relax, take big breath, and start again without pushing as much. It's maybe too strong, and actually when we have discomfort or pain, it will trigger spasticity, so it will be counterproductive. So remember, don't push too much, go slow, apply power, strength, but just slow, and go back, go down, 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 as much as the muscle will release. Okay, and the spasticity will go down, because you can have tightness, but it can be the spasticity there. So spasticity will go with a bit faster than the tightness, for example. This is a good way for me. Sometimes I don't know if my patient has, is it spasticity or it's tightness, because sometimes both can coexist at the same time. But if I do the tricks I'm showing you, or the stretching, and whoo, it goes very fast, most of the time it was spasticity. And also it can trigger again if I push too much, and I will know that spasticity is there. Okay, let's go, we do another one. And another thing is to take big breath. I said stress can trigger spasticity, and not you being stressed, but your body being stressed, and this can stress your body, your leg. But doing respiration exercises, taking big breath, and calming all your body can help also to calm the stress that your body kind of experience. Even if you say, no, I'm not stressed, your body experiencing a kind of stress. Okay. Now, another thing that we will do is triple flexion stretches. So, like I said, spasticity at the legs is like that. So what we will do is bring back the legs. If you can, put it on the seat, and maybe even take your toes and bring it back. So we do triple flexion. Flexion at the hip, at the knee, and at the ankle. And we will stay like that, like this. So do it as much as you can. If you can go like this, that's okay. And try to, during the 30 seconds, or if you're doing 2 minutes, for example, if you have a lot of spasticity, keep on going until the end. It will be about 2 minutes. And you go and you try to go higher and higher and higher while taking big breath. Okay, let's go. Again, I will do just one side, but if you need to do both sides, you can do it both sides. And I just realized I did the other leg. Just remember, do the side that you are spastic. If you want to do the other side, it's kind of a nice stretch, even without spasticity. So if you're like this, you will take great breath, you will feel the spasticity releasing a little bit, and you try to go further and further like this. Okay, if you want to stay in that position, for myself, I will change my legs, but you can keep on the same leg if you want. Let's go. You can take your foot like that and do the triple flexion. Take big breath. If you have a lot of spasticity, you will see, and I'm pretty sure you already know, that it will also be an exercise for your arms, because it will be hard to pull and to do like this. And if you have a lot of difficulty, and it's very difficult, you can ask someone to help you with this, because sometimes it's very difficult, and I totally recognize that and understand that. So try your best, you know, the more you will do it, the easier it will become, and it will with time reduce spasticity. But it's complex. If you get sick, the spasticity might increase. There's many things that can happen, but if you're consistent with your exercises, you might see, like, there's good chances, we do the third time, there's a good chances that you will see improvements. And I wish you a lot of improvement. I know how difficult it is to live with that. It's one of the main complaints of people. It's spasticity, and it's difficult. We don't know everything about spasticity yet. In the literature and in research, people do not agree on all the kinds of spasticity, the treatments, the causes, what increase or decrease spasticity. We know that exercises is helping for sure, and those kind of exercises that I'm showing you are proven also. And one of the things also that is good, it's the neuroplasticity. Like I explained, it's a lack of connection between the brain and the limbs. So when you train that connection and the movement, and there's neuroplasticity change in the brain and more connection with the legs or the limbs, but the spasticity will decrease. So in regards of this, the next exercise is movement. So we will do the same, the triple flexion like this, but in movement, not a stretch. Actually, we did the stretch to prepare the muscles, to prepare the articulation and the muscles to be able to do like this. Okay? So we will do again 3 times 30 seconds. So now it's not a stretch. We don't stay in the position. We want to control the movement. So if you can, try to control with your leg. If you need assistance, you can use your arms like that. Okay? Let's go. Bring your knee towards you and push. When you push, try not to push too fast. Bring against you, towards you, and don't push like that with spasticity. I'm pretty sure some of you did that. I see that often. So try to not let the spasticity control the movement, but have a control in extension and bring back like this. This is really difficult. For people with a lot of spasticity, it's very difficult. So also, please don't get angry at you. I know it's really easy to get frustrated because you want to do it and not having control of the limbs. It's very frustrating. I understand that. But remember that every emotion that puts you in hypervigilance, I'm not sure it's English, but like in hyperactivity, will increase spasticity. So it's a very good exercise for patients, and like just let it go. Like take big breath, calm yourself, and do it slowly. And that's okay. It takes time to be good at this and improve. Okay. Let's go. So control, don't let the spasticity bring you in extension. We come back. It can be slower than that. For some people, it will be harder to, and less stiffer than this. And try. So that's okay. What I wanted to say, I say, try to bring the toes towards you to really do the triple flexion like this. If you cannot use your hands to have control. Good, very good. And also, in most cases, the first set is almost the worst, because there's a learning effect. When you do something for the first time, your brain doesn't really know how to do it. There will be mistake. It will be difficult. Also, the muscles are not as prepared. But we did stretching stretch before to prepare the muscles and the articulation, but like the movement, like the brain will try and do errors, and at the second set it will have kind of try to improve, to correct the errors, and usually the performance is better the second set, and the third one can be the best. So let's try it. Triple flexion like that. So what I want to say about this is, if the first one was very difficult to do, please continue, try it again. You will see in most cases that you improve right away, just like that. That the learning effect can be very quick, and it might not be perfect, still not perfect, but it will improve. And if you do this consistently and like often, with time there will be improvement, because after, when you do it, there's a washout effect. Like what you learned is still there, but it will fade away with time. If you train it again, you try it again soon, you will have retained some of the learning that you did, so you will not start from zero. If you wait too long, you will always go back to zero. So there's a lot of benefits of doing those kind of exercise every day, and maybe more than once a day, and do 3 sets all the time, so to have that learning effect. Because if you do 1 set and you wait too long, it will wash out a little bit too. So do it like as a set of 3 times 30 seconds, or 3 times 10, for example, and do this every day. You will see improvement, I'm pretty sure of that. Okay, now the last exercise, it's a stretch too. So we will be stretching the piriformis, so the muscle, one muscle in the bum that is often tight, very, very often, and in the same time we will stretch the muscles, the adductor, that are usually very tight and very spastic, because it's extension, but it's also adduction of the hip that is the most common at the leg. Again, we will do one side, but if you want, and actually it can be very good to do both sides. So if you want, press pause on the video and do the other side too. So what we're gonna do is, you will try to lift your leg, take your ankle and put it on the opposite knee. And some people will have the knee up like that. What we want is to push down the knee like this. You will feel the stretch in the hip, and you can put your arm on your knee and bend forward. like that, while pressing, pushing on the knee, okay, for 30 seconds. Again, remember, it's a stretch, so we have to stay in that position and push on it. If you feel that it's releasing, push a bit more. You always want to feel a nice stretching sensation. If you don't feel anything anymore, it's not stretching. So you have to feel it. It can be quite uncomfortable. It's a muscle that it's quite painful sometimes. If you have a very sharp pain in the local point, stop it or push less. Okay, you can come back up and take a break. We'll do it again. But if it's kind of painful or very intense sensation, that's kind of okay. It means that it's very, very tense. And it can become very tense. And in many cases, many people with all kind of problems, it's a muscle that get tense very easily and can also cause sciatica nerve pain, and that goes down the leg. So it might help also for people who have pain in the leg. Let's go. Push like that. Take big breath. Very good. So we stay like that. You push a bit more if you feel that it's not stretching as much anymore. And this is actually a good sign. It's like it's releasing, okay? The muscle is reacting to the stretch. So we want that actually. And from set to set, a bit like the learning effect, like this first set will be the most painful and the most like intense, and with time, like with the second set, second 30 seconds, it would be less and less, and at the end maybe you will not feel anything anymore because the tension will be released completely. And I hope it will happen to you, okay? Again, we do it, and it all depends on the severity and the level of tightness of the muscle initially. If there's a little bit of tightness, you won't feel that much sometimes. And even like you can try sometimes on both legs, sometimes on one side a position like that could be very, very uncomfortable, like even painful, and on the other side the person will feel nothing at all. This is normal because we are not supposed to feel the muscles when they are not tight, and we stretch them. It just, if I do that, I stretch my bicep, I don't feel it because it's not painful, it's not tight. If my bicep is tight and I stretch it, I put it in a longer position, I will feel it. So it's a good way to know that you have tension there. And tension usually appears when a muscle is weaker than the demands. So if the muscle is weak and you ask a lot from it, what it will do, it's the actin and myosin, the contraction will be so strong that it will stay like that. It will have difficulty to relax and go back to the normal and relaxed position. So it means like maybe on one side, not with spasticity necessarily. If you have spasticity, the tension is from the spasticity. But if it's a muscle that it's not spastic often, it can mean that it's more weak and it has to work a lot. So one of the way, there's stretching for sure to reduce the tension, but to prevent it to come back, it's to strengthen that muscle specifically so it becomes stronger. So when a task will be asked, it will be less strain on it, and the muscle will be strong enough to do that task and not make tension and nodules. So this is a little bit of an explication, but it's complex. I will do other video on this for sure, because I think it's very important to understand those kind of principles to just change few things in the life, or like adapt your exercises that you're doing, your program, and to address those issues if you have those. So, and if you have questions, feel free to write to me, and I can do videos on some aspects on some of your questions. I cannot answer very specific question on your case because I don't know you, but I can answer more general question about muscle spasticity, a lot of things about rehabilitation, and I will be very happy to do it. So if you like that video, please do a thumbs up or a like. Also, if you like this content and those kind of video, I invite you to follow us on our social media platforms. So you can follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. It makes a big difference for us, so thank you for doing this. Also, you can share this content with people that think you might benefit from it. And on this, sincerely, I want to thank you to follow us, to do the exercises with me. I hope all those tips and exercises will help you. I will do more for sure because I know it's a problem that many people have, and it can impair a lot the life and quality of life. So I want to give you some tips and exercises to help to manage it and help you to live a better life if you have spasticity. So on this, I wish you a wonderful day, and I'm looking forward to see you in the next video. Bye bye!